Back-to-back weeks betting on the PGA Tour among the stars. This time it's the Riviera Country Club for the Genesis Invitational, a very unique course. Tiger's never won here, Scottie, Rory, none of them have won at the Riv. What's the deal with this place? We're going to look at the last time it was at Riviera, 2024, when Hideki Matsuyama won this thing. We have a betcast on PGA Tour Live this week, presented by DraftKings. The host of that is going to be Jonathan Coachman. So Coach had to come on the broadcast today for the roundtable. He'll be on for about, 95 hours this week?
It feels that way. I mean, it's 8 hours a day for 4 days a week. People loved it when we did it 2 weeks ago in Phoenix. So super excited because this week, signature event, all the top players, and a lot of markets that are going to be open over at DraftKings.
Yeah, no shortage of storylines this week, Chris. I just love that we brought in the West Coast specialist. We brought in the Cali guy to break down Riv, and no better place to go to for this week's guest spot.
I will say that locally on the news out where I live, it's about 60 miles away. Everybody's talking about this event. The fact that they're back, the fact that it's rebuilt, the fact that you can get back in there, because it was devastating last year. Devastating. But I love the fact that they're back this week for sure.
Forget the guys like Homa being the hometown guys. You're the hometown guy. That's in my book. All right, let's look at the odds board. The top of the odds board from FanDuel started out like this. Scottie Scheffler was a modest plus 340 for him. He's all the way down to plus 300 on that board. We've swapped out two guys from the last signature event. Siwoo's gone. Victor Hovland is gone. Hideki Matsuyama and Tommy Fleetwood flirted right around the 2,000 to 2,500 mark. Coach, what do you make of this board?
Well, I make it the fact that some people would say that Scottie, man, 2 weeks ago he was plus 255. What's happened? Well, what's happened is he had two horrible starting rounds and still managed to finish in the top five. This all boils down to Thursday, guys. If he gets off to a fast start, you're not going to catch him. But my sweet spot when I bet is always that plus 2,000 to plus 4,000, and I like three of those names. In fact, we'll get into one of mine later. But this makes a lot of sense. I like betting signature events as well because a lot less players, you get better numbers on certain guys that aren't named Scottie.
I mean, I think the last 2 weeks show the volatility and some of the upside of live and in-play betting, right? If you like Scottie Scheffler, you think he's going to win. If you waited until Thursday or into Friday, all of a sudden you got some 20-1 tickets on Scottie that you at least had a very interesting Sunday sweat, especially at Pebble as he's making eagle on the 72nd hole. So just because these are the odds on Tuesday does not necessarily mean these are the only odds you're going to have to choose from. I do think it's interesting to see Rory and Scottie there as a clear, top tier as well. I'm not buying Xander in the 3 slot. I still need to see more out of Xander, even though we're out on the West Coast. And then from there, Coach, as you said, I think we are looking in that 25 to 30-1 range. There's a lot of value if you're not going to go with Scottie. As Chris, we've talked about so many times on this show, if you have a guy out around plus 300 as your favorite, all of a sudden there's going to be a ton of line value not too far down the page.
The funny thing about Scottie and Rory, neither of them has won here, and really not even come close particularly. What is it about Riv that's so unique? Well, the fairways are really tough to hit. In the 2024 season, the last time it was here, it was the 4th hardest fairways to hit, 53-ish%, which means your proximity to the hole after your second shot on the green is going to be longer. 5th longest proximity to the hole in 2024 at about 42 feet. But it's an oxymoron here, guys, because you would think you're going to have more putts. Not the case. Look at the highest one-putt percentage on tour in 2024. Riv was 3rd best in putting. 46% of players were one-putting their green. So if you're longer from the hole, the fairways are hard to hit, but still there's a lot of one-putts. Will, what gives at Riviera?
There's a lot of one-putt pars, Chris. I'm not a scientist, but you have a tough time finding the target at Riv. I do think a phrase that we're going to have to come to embrace this week as we look at this handicap is atmospheric river. Coach, I'm an East Coast guy. I'm not as familiar as it or to it as you are, but they're getting a ton of rain out at Riviera this week, and it's not going to stop anytime soon, even including into Thursday's first round. They're going to be facing some wet and breezy conditions. So when you look at the penalties that Chris was talking about for how you stray off the fairway and it's going to be adding up pretty quick, or you're going to have a tough time getting into the greens like we see here on the devilish 10th hole, it's going to play longer. That rough is going to be harder to get out of it. It's going to be you're going to have a harder time controlling your ball from 180 to 220 yards as a lot of the holes tend to force you to hit approaches from there. So It's always a stern test, one that we missed last year on the PGA Tour schedule, but it's not going to get any easier this week given the conditions.
It's been really, 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 really wet where I live, and the grass on the West Coast, especially at my club, it's almost impossible to get it out when it's not wet. When it is wet and you can't drop, because I have a feeling that it will be ball in hand if you're in the fairway, but that only is if you're in the fairway. But you just showed the numbers, right, guys? That these are some of the hardest fairways to hit. So if they're hard to hit and you're not going to have ball in hand, what's that going to lead to? A lot of guys trying to get up and down. So I'm leading into guys that really, really have good short games, that play difficult courses really, really well. And the fact that some of the biggest names of all time have never won here tells me go with somebody a little bit farther down the list, because the favorites normally don't get it done.
One other point on this, Chris, before we move on. One piece that I always tend to put in my handicap for Genesis is carry distance off the tee. It's getting a little bit, It's not as much of a game changer as it was maybe 5 or 8 years ago, given how far some of these guys are hitting it off the tee. But Riviera specifically, there are a ton of par 4s and a couple of those par 5s where you need to carry it a long way to access the right angles and to access the right points on that golf course. So hitting it 310, if it's going to roll for those final 20, isn't worth as much as a 305 carry that's going to kind of sit there. So definitely a piece as we look at the off the tee elements of some of these top names that I'm going to keep in my back pocket.
You can see most of those previous winners, like basically the last 3 winners, have all done exactly what you just said. And what about Scottie Scheffler? Well, we know he's never won here. You can call it struggles at the Riv, but for Scottie, when you don't win, it is a struggle. Look at him, though, here. His finishing position the last 5 years has been pretty good. He's been inside the top 10, inside the top 5. But notice what he does at the weekend mark when he usually hunts people down. After the Friday second round, he really doesn't improve his position at the Riviera Country Club. We're used to Scottie coming out Saturday and Sunday and just completely taking over the field. He doesn't do that when he's at Riviera. He gets in contention after the first and second round, and then after that, he kind of fizzles off into the distance. So, Coach, would you bet Scottie Scheffler this week? What's the deal with Scottie?
Are we allowed to swear on this show? It's a hell no for me. It's never going to be a yes for me. I like what Will said, that live betting when you're in golf, and this is why you need to watch this on the BetCast this week. Scottie Scheffler, for me, is always a live bet. In Phoenix, there was a point you could have got plus 6,000 when he was like 9-10 shots back, I believe, on Friday, and then he came all the way back. Didn't win, so you got to be very, very careful. But over at DraftKings, you can bet live top 5s, live top 10s, and sometimes that's a much better way to go about it. Now, some of those numbers you just showed, remember, he didn't get on this winning streak until 2022. He's done all this damage in the last 4 years. So when you look at that, the fact that his struggles are still not landing him outside of the top 15 tells me he does know how to play this golf course. So if he can get off to a much better start, and this is his 3rd straight week in a row, which means he should be in a nice rhythm. Don't bet him pregame, but I'm looking at a lot of different ways live, Will, to bet Scottie Scheffler, especially if he gets off to a slow start in the first 9 holes.
Yeah, you mentioned those top finish markets, especially live and in play. And one that I'm going to have circled for him this week is the top 10 market, because he is now on a run of 19 straight top 10 finishes. We are approaching a full calendar year since the last time that Scottie was outside the top 10. It was at the Players' Championship in March. He can say all he wants about, like, he's not thinking about these things. I have a tough time believing that. If he's sitting there on Sunday at T12, knowing he needs to make one more birdie to make that T8 and kind of keep that streak going, he wants to win these tournaments. That's what's going to define Scottie Scheffler and his legacy. But I feel like we've gone on long enough, and he saved his bacon the last 2 weeks and pulled them back into T3 and T4 finishes, that I feel like that's definitely one that he is going to have at least, lurking in the back of his mind. Even if he gets off to a slow start, maybe it's one to invest in if you get a plus money price.
Well, we're looking at the last 2 weeks. He shoots 73 and 72 and almost comes back and wins the darn thing with 3 eagles on Sunday and that 63 at Pebble Beach. Coach, you had mentioned, if he pulls it together after one round, does Scottie need to break par to be in contention? Is that as simple as it is, even if he's 8 shots back?
I mean, well, if you look at it, 2024 is a little bit misleading because Hideki had an insanely low Sunday. To me, you're always going to find between 12 and 18 under par. So when I think about those type of numbers, if I can get him a 4 under or a 5 under, and then over the course of the next 3 days, you're going to be able to tell me he can get to 12 under. I think I could buy into that. So I think he's got to go at least 4 under the first day to really set the stage for a Sunday. And also remember, he's so hyper competitive that yes, he's had 2 top 5s, but he knows he was so close to winning. He's probably mentally beating himself up for those bad starts. So I would lean in the first round leader category and also the birdie category, but also the score market for day number 1, because I think, Will, he's going to really, really be focused for this Thursday based off of what happened in Phoenix and Pebble Beach.
Yeah, 1 is a blip, and 2 is starting to be a trend. And he doesn't want to make it 3 straight weeks where he's started slowly, because then you go to Bay Hill and it really becomes a question that he's going to have to answer for. I would say, guys, don't forget the cut rules that are in effect this week. We had a 72-man field. We're cutting. It's a paper cut. We're going to top 50 in ties, but everyone within 10 shots of the lead. So you're going to lose a few guys on Friday. But if Scottie Scheffler, as we expect, is still there, I think I saw him at minus 4,500 to make the cut at DraftKings. So I wouldn't necessarily rush to the window with that ROI. But assuming he's there still with a tee time on Saturday, Chris, that means he's within 10 shots of the lead. That means Scottie Scheffler's still alive based on how well he has played over those last couple of weeks, especially on Sunday.
We were sweating that in Phoenix, by the way. You guys remember that?
Yes.
Scotty's like halfway through Friday.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right, let's look at some tournament matchups. We love these events because the stars go up against each other. You want to show Rory McIlroy some disrespect, guys. He's plus 200 against Scottie.
Grand Slam champion, Coach. He's the Masters winner. He's the Players champion. Give me plus 200 against anyone, and I'll take my chances with Rory. I don't want to make a great trend out of fading Scottie Scheffler in the year of our Lord 2026. I will take my chances with Rory at plus 200.
I would too if we're talking just this matchup. If you're going to put this matchup in a parlay per se, then I would take Scottie, because at minus 300, you can certainly bring it down with 1 or 2 other plays. But if I'm just playing just this head up, then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on Rory and hope that Scottie gets off to a slow start. But I do not think that this course is great for Rory. I never have. I don't know why. I never have.
No, he had that Sunday 64 last week at Pebble to make his round look better, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Rory at 2-1. Okay, I don't know if you guys saw this. Colin Morikawa lost strokes to the field putting when he won last week. He can't do that this week to beat Russell Henley, though, Coach.
Well, I know that Russell Henley had a decent week last week, T19, but I think Colin Morikawa, he's always been a streak player, Will. And if he's going to finally, in 62 events, get a dub, you saw how much it meant to him, how much work he's put in. They're welcoming a baby. And let's not forget, this is his hometown. So I think this matchup, Colin's going to come out, be highly motivated from the start. I think that he wins this one comfortably.
Coach, I'm incredibly conflicted on what to do with Colin Morikawa. As you know, we've been around long enough. I spent about 18 months trying to figure out where Colin Morikawa was going to get his next win. I did not have him last week. He goes and wins. I don't know what to do anymore. But I agree with you. I will tend to ride the momentum. I did like what I saw ball striking wise. Man, that Saturday round was incredible at Pebble from Colin Morikawa. And if he's going to have the ball working both ways, but especially that left to right fade, if it's right where it was last week, he's going to be able to put up some more circles on the scorecard this week.
Comfortably is the word. Wow. Ain't nothing comfortable about this matchup. It is my favorite, guys. Tommy Fleetwood continues to play well. He's T4 last week, but Patrick Cantlay cannot be overlooked at this place. T3, T4, T5, each of the last 3 years, Coach, when he's been, quote, down.
And I either did this show with you guys or another show, because I've called Riviera 3 years in a row. And every year I go, oh, Cantlay can't do it. Cantlay can't do it. I just, well, that's true. But I'm saying probably would have won a head-to-head matchup all 4 days with a 3, 4, and 5 finish. These head-to-head matchups are my cup of tea. These are my favorite bets. But Tommy Fleetwood, for whatever reason, I just love what he's doing. I love his mindset. I love his vibe. I love that he wore Pebble Beach stuff last week. So I'm going to go against the grain, Will, and I'm going to take Tommy Fleetwood, even though I got to lay a quarter. I just don't believe right now in Patrick Cantlay. I just don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. Same thought. I'm intrigued to see what Fleetwood comes out of the merch shop with at the pro shop. Riviera's got a great logo. He can do a lot of things this week. But I agree. Listen, I saw everything I needed to see out of Tommy Fleetwood last week at Pebble Beach for his first start in the U.S. since winning that FedEx Cup. I still am wondering where Patrick Cantlay's game is week to week, similarly to what we were talking about earlier in the show with Xander Schauffele. Yes, Chris, the track record at Riviera is impressive, but he had a really great track record at Pebble that didn't quite materialize last week. So I feel like Patrick Cantlay is probably going to be in the top 15, and I still think that I'll take a little bit of a chance and take Tommy Fleetwood to beat that.
He could maybe be top 10 and still lose this bet. Okay, I thought Victor Hovland was back last week. Clearly, he was not off the tee. Coach, he was 5th worst off the tee last week in the entire field. He was 75th, going up against Ricky Fowler, who is a serious underdog in this, and suddenly we're back on the Ricky train, at least the fans are.
Yeah, this one doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest with you. I think sometimes the books, they look at names and don't necessarily do all their homework, because I think it's hard. When you've got 15 to 20 matchups in all these different markets to get every single number right. This one is wrong. This should be way closer to even money for Hovland, because Fowler is even money. And the way he played last week, I thought he was completely in control. I thought he really had his game on point. And when he drives it great, he drives it straight. And we know at this course he needs to do that. Give me Fowler at even money over Victor Hovland.
We're going to agree once again. Ricky Fowler has been high variance over the last few years. He got that win at the Rocket Mortgage back in 2023, kind of fell off, but he's coming back in a big way. He's up to 4th in the all-around ranking. It's early in 2026, but that is a really good sign for Ricky in terms of it's not just the driving, it's not the putting. He has everything in a really good place, and I think that this is one that tests every club in your bag. And Chris, as you mentioned, if Victor Hovland has a little bit of a weak spot, it's probably going to be off the tee or potentially around the greens. We get into this Kikuyu grass. I will take my chances with Fowler at even money.
Not the place for that either for Hovland. Okay, don't make any future picks here on this show with this one coming up here, guys. Will, is Schauffele back? Is he back enough to be this big of a favorite on Hideki?
I mean, last time we were at Riv, Matsuyama shooting a 62 to win the tournament, right? I mean, it's been 2 years. A lot has happened, but Hideki almost won in Phoenix with, a driver that looked like it was bent out of shape for as much as he was hitting it sideways on Sunday. Things kind of calmed down a little bit last week. This is, again, where I would side toward the underdog. This is a closer matchup than the last one, but I still need to see more out of Xander as we wrap up the West Coast, head over to the Florida swing. I'm in a prove-it mode with Xander Schauffele, so I'll take my chances, Coach, with Hideki.
Nail on the head. This is also mispriced. The books, DraftKings, and all the others, they're looking back at 2024. They're looking at the leaderboard. And as I look at it, yeah, Schauffele's right there next to Cantlay. But that was 2 full years ago. His game is nowhere near where that was when he won 2 majors and he had high finishes. He's been through a serious injury. That set him back, and he's not playing that good at golf right now. And Hideki on the other side should have won Phoenix. And then last week, he had another really solid week at Pebble that nobody's talking about. I'm riding the hot hand. Hideki, I think, is going to have a fantastic week. He loves this course and plays great here.
Let's just rip off the Band-Aid, Coach. You got a winner here. You're
Let's go. This is my guy. Plus 2,200. I mean, this is a sweet spot. This is a guy that shot, 62 in the final round 2 years ago to get to 17 under par. It wasn't even close that particular day. And right now, when he is dialed in, man, I tell you what, you talk to Matt Every, my partner on a lot of the best casts. When he talks about Hideki, Will, he's like, this guy is an absolute beast. When other players are saying that about their peers, they're next level. This guy will be right up there come Sunday.
And especially that wedge play. I mean, it was on full display in Phoenix a couple weeks ago when we last had our betcast. I mean, what he was able to do from 75 to 150 yards in, how he's able to save that final round and stay bogey-free until the last hole is remarkable and shows the creativity. And that's a lot of the elements that you need to tackle Riviera. I mean, I definitely think that he's someone that stands out, obviously as a past champion at this event, nearly won a couple weeks ago. There's a lot to like about him, and I'm with you and with Matt, Coach, that when Hideki gets hot, he can get really hot, and he can get tough to meet and tough to beat when he's playing as well as he was a couple weeks ago.
All right, Coach. Will does not know this, but my winner pick is Tommy Fleetwood at 22 to 1. And the reason why I'm bringing it up and the reason why I'm saying Will doesn't know is because last year Will and I had a thing. We had a handful of weeks where we picked the same winner, and the guy went on to win. And then we had a handful of weeks where we picked the same winner, and I feel like the guy missed the cut. So I have Tommy Fleetwood this week, and when I asked Will who he had this week,
oh no,
who'd he pick?
Tommy lad.
Oh
no, let's go. I mean, everything is there. I saw everything that I needed to see out of him last week at Pebble Beach. He seems loose. He seems in a great headspace. The ball striking is there. Again, the swag is going to be off the charts with the Riviera Pro Shop options. But Chris, I mean, this is a guy that is showing no signs of a come down after that FedEx Cup victory, the breakthrough that we saw at East Lake. And I really think as we head into the players, we head into the majors, we're going to have Tommy Fleetwood on that shortlist graphic for a lot of these tournaments, that he is continuing to prove himself to be one of the best players in the world, and potentially in that crop that could challenge Scottie and Rory week in and week out when the conditions are right and the course is up to his filling.
Coach, let me ask you this. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, good. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to ask you, do you think people have almost forgot about Tommy Fleetwood? Because it's been so long and we've had so many different things happen and we're like, oh, wait, Tommy just won and he's really good.
I got to be honest with you. I thought the FedEx he won was 2 years ago. That's how long ago it feels for me. And I'm starting to wonder, guys, is he playing hardball with the sponsors? Because he's our reigning, defending, undisputed FedEx Cup champion, and he can't get – I mean, he wore that Pebble Beach stuff all 4 days. You think maybe that it was great, but are his people, his team playing a little hardball, saying – We're the FedEx Cup champion. You got to bring it a little bit stronger from the sponsor game, because that's the way I took it. Because he didn't have any of the companies on anywhere.
Yeah, I just think that he's feeling himself as a vibe here. I mean, it could be just we're going week to week. Maybe it's a West Coast thing. Tommy's his own man, and I think that if anyone's going to be able to pull it off, it's going to be him.
Sure, I'll take that.
All right, before we get going here, we want to give the viewers some prop bets to give. Coach, this is from DraftKings. You got Group B winner. Talk us through Sam Burns.
Yeah, so I looked at a lot of the different groups, and this is the one I really, really like, because the other four that he has to beat, there's always 5 over DK. Cantlay, Cam Young, Hovland, and Hindley. And I like to eliminate 2 guys and say, okay, this is basically a 3-ball. Sam Burns has been playing great golf. And at this number, plus 360, this is higher than Scottie to win the whole damn thing. Think about that for a second. He only has to beat these 4. Cam Young's not playing that great either. So to me, this is just about Sam Burns beating Patrick Cantlay. So I love this number, and I love this group over there at DraftKings.
Will, did you hear that?
I did. Coach, we've gone far too long in the show. We've done way too much agreeing. It was about time that we found something to go head-to-head on. You're crossing out my guy here. You're taking my prop out from under me. I get that Cam Young is off to a little bit of a slower start, but again, this is a course where he was a runner-up before. He has played well in each of his 3 previous starts. The off-the-tee game is going to matter, and Cam Young is one of those guys that can hit it a long way, can carry it a long way. I think that a top 10 at 265, maybe you can get Sam Burns in there at a T6, and I can slot Cam at a T8, and we can all cash the tickets and go home happy. But I think that in a 72-man field, I really like this price on Cam Young. This is the type of course and type of event where he tends to play above his weight.
It's a win-win, baby.
The best part about that is we're all going to be together this weekend on the Betcast on PGA Tour Live. We could track this, folks. Coach, I'm going to let you tell the viewers how they can watch, when they can watch, because you're the guy who's running the whole show.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really. So we're going to have to follow on social media. We're still figuring out exactly what the time is on Thursday, but we'll hear Thursday morning. Phoenix, we start at 10 a.m. Eastern time, but we're going to be here all day. It's the Betcast, and when people look at it on the ESPN app, it's that 4th one. And again, it's not just 2 hours anymore. We're here all the way through the linear window. We focus on groups. We focus on holes. We focus on markets. We like to have a great time, but also live betting and the live markets are really our specialty. We got Rick Heyman on the couch this week with us, so he's been a brilliant addition to the betting team. So Thursday morning, you guys all over the ESPN app. You don't want to miss it. All 4 days. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, pull up a chair, get some popcorn, maybe get some lunch. We're going to set up for a long time here, but it's going to be a great week. We're all looking forward to it. And Chris, it's always a good week at Riviera. Glad to be back.
And I've already favorited Cam Young on my PGA Tour app, too, to see how he does.